open computer. Here we go. So welcome. My name is Mary Graham, and I have the great fun and honor of being president of United Ways of Tennessee, as well as the lead staff for the Tennessee Afterschool Network. United Way serves as the fiscal agent for the Afterschool Network, but we are a statewide collaborative of all sorts of constituents who care about out-of-school time, enrichments and engagements of kids. We have 1,600 members, and I'm gonna, in the chat, put my email as well as a link to our website in case you would like to join the network. It is free, all kinds of resources and great folks who care about kids to network with. I also want to start by saying welcome to everybody, grantees and non-grantees. Those of you who are grantees, welcome. We have every size, shape, flavor, age group, type of out-of-school type program covered in the grantees. There are 10 of you, and I'm excited to see what you do. But this is open to non-grantees as well, because we wanted any kind of program that wants to learn about service learning and to implement it to have a chance to do so. So we're about half and half, grantees and non-grantees. These webinars will be archived and put on the tnafterschool.org website sometime within the week after they air. This is the first of 4, and you do get a certificate proving that you've had some professional development. You will be required to send me something at the end of this. And Chip and Terry are going to have a survey that you'll complete and send in to get your certificate. What else do I want to tell you? So service learning is really about youth engagement and leadership, and we want our kids to drive the content and quality and what the products are about. But you all can encourage and guide them, and we are hoping for some work in the following spaces. Doesn't have to be, but just to keep these in mind. Opioids, substance abuse, and mental health, STEAM, STEM, or anything that's career developing for the kids, disaster response, including pandemic, anything related to COVID-19, and that includes the digital divide. That's a big issue for us, particularly those of you in rural areas. The other piece is racial equity. So think about steering kids in those directions if they're kind of like, where do we start? I will also tell you, TAN and United Way can provide you some content and connections to support the kids in those projects. So do reach out if you need that. Is there anybody in here who was on one of our original 3 pilots? We were in Knoxville, Greenville, and Memphis. No, so all newbies. Okay, just wanted to see about that. Any questions before I introduce our trainers? Yes, you have to unmute yourself. I cannot hear you, you're muted. I still cannot hear you. You need to turn your microphone up or something. I cannot hear you. You may need to type it into chat.
Mary, everybody's muted.
Okay, so participants, what do I do? It doesn't say mute all. Let's see.
No, click on the person that wants to speak.
Allow participants to unmute themselves. All right, you're all now allowed to unmute yourself. Sorry about that. Go and try again. I still cannot hear you. Let's see. It says participants can unmute themselves. All right, I don't know what to do other than have folks type questions in the chat. My apologies. Not sure what to do about that. The last thing I want to do is thank our sponsors. We have grants and financial support from the National Youth Leadership Council, as well as Volunteer Tennessee and United Ways of Tennessee. So I would be remiss without thanking them. And next, I want to turn it over to our fabulous trainers. So we have Chip Harris, who is a retired teacher/educator. He's director of the Center for Career and Technical Education. He's a certified service learning trainer with Volunteer Tennessee, also a Lions Quest social and emotional learning certified trainer, and I could go on and on about how fabulous he is. And we also have the fabulous Terry Silver with us. She's an associate professor of educational studies at UT Martin. She's also a member of the Volunteer Tennessee board, and she also is certified trainer from Volunteer Tennessee and Lions Quest. So with that, why cannot people unmute themselves?
Mary, you've got to work on Terry. She cannot unmute herself.
That's what I saw. Participants. I don't know why, because I clicked that everybody could unmute. Right,
Click directly on Terry and there should be a mute button.
Where is Terry? I'm not seeing Terry in participants. Wait, there's Chip. I'm looking. Thank y'all for your patience. Oh, there's Terry. It says ask to unmute.
Click that one.
I did. It's not doing anything.
There we go.
Yep. Good.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to our fearless leaders.
Okay. Hang on just a second, everybody. I'm trying to, I promise you, this is not going to be the norm. We will get this going. I'm going to share my screen and then we will be good to go. Share. Okay. Here
There
we
you
go.
come.
Okay. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Chip and I have some great activities. We're going to model some strategies that you can use in case you have to go through Zoom to do this service learning and meet with your students. We wanted to start today with the thing, Toto, I have a feeling we aren't in Kansas anymore, because truly we are in a different time, a different space. And my wish is that soon, maybe by summer or fall, we'll be able to get back into in-person meetings. So welcome, everybody. We've already been introduced. Chip, should I go forward?
I think so.
Okay, here we go. So this is the National Dropout Prevention Network's definition of service learning. May I have a volunteer to read this? Just if you can, unmute yourself. And maybe you can't. So I'll read it. Service learning is a teaching and learning method that connects meaningful community service experiences with academic learning, personal growth, and civic responsibility. And it can be and is a powerful vehicle for student engagement at all grade levels. So that is our frame for today for what we're going to be talking about in terms of service learning. Okay.
And
sorry, Chip.
There we go. Folks, this is our agenda for today. We're going to start with some common terminology for those who may not be familiar with a lot of the Zoom things that we're going to be doing. We're going to do an introduction so everybody has a chance to let us know who you are and what you do. We're going to use a tool called Kahoot so that you learn you can use this if you need to go virtual with your students. It's really a lot of fun. The next two areas we're going to spend the most amount of time on. IPARD is the process that we use for service learning, and we'll go into much greater detail. And the quality standards of service learning is what defines service learning as opposed to just any old community service project. And then, as Mary said, there's going to be a survey at the end that you'll need to complete to get your certificate, and that's what the homework is.
There you go.
So we can move on to the next slide.
Okay. Okay, so some of you may be very familiar with the terminology used in Zoom, but just in case we're all on the same page, I'm going to go through just a few terms that you'll hear us use throughout. And the first one is the participant button. So if you look on your screen, some of your buttons may be at the top and some may be at the bottom, but if you click on the participant button, You will be able to see the participants on your left or on your right. You can put them wherever you want to. You can do one person at a time. You can do several, and then you can also have these little blocks. So that's helpful. Now, I'm not sure what's going on with the mute button. Maybe Mary can work with that, but we do so that you can unmute, because we do want to hear from you at times. But if you aren't speaking, then it's always best to mute yourself. You probably wouldn't be surprised at the sounds that come through if you're not muting. I have 3 cats and one's very noisy. And so when Chip's talking, I'll mute myself as well. Okay, the next is the chat box. So if you do not have your chat box open, you can click on this little more button and open up your chat so that you can see what everybody's saying, and you can be, chatting with each other. Please feel free to use that chat box. If you see somebody you know and you want to say hello, please use it. In addition, as we go through certain things today, we're going to use a hashtag subject. So for example, if I ask you a question and you want to answer, and we're not going to speak out loud all of us at the same time, just go over to the chat box, put a hashtag, put the subject, and then write your answer. And that way, once we're finished with this webinar today, we're going to save the chat, and it will actually organize through the subjects that we've talked about throughout the day. So you will have access to that as well. In addition, if you have technical issues or you have a question, simply put hashtag question and write out your question, and we'll try to get to you as quickly as we can. Chip and I will do tag team on that. And our engagement tools. Some of you probably haven't taken advantage of some of these really cool engagement tools. But if you notice on my screen at the bottom, here we've got some buttons to use. And if you go to more, you can also see some information here. I have what's called an annotate button. And when I press on that button or link on it, I've got all these options here. And we will be using some of those today. So try to find your annotate button. For some of you, it might be at the top, at the very top of your screen, and more. And just scroll down to annotate, and you'll see the options that we have. So we will be using these today. Now, let me see if I can get back. Where's my mouse? There it is. I just annotated. Okay. I don't know why my button's not working. See, I'm annotating right now. But there it is. Thank you. Here we go. So go back to my mouse, and we'll go back to the next screen. Oh, one more thing, breakout rooms. If you haven't used breakout rooms in Zoom, we will be using breakout rooms so that we'll have smaller groups, and you can have some time to talk about some things that we're going to bring to you, some prompts. So when we send you to breakout rooms, you will automatically go into a room. You'll know about the amount of time you have. At 1 minute is left, you'll see a countdown clock. And as soon as that 1 minute is up, it'll put you right back into the main session, just so that you're aware. Okay. All right. I'm going to clear all of the drawings and move on to the next screen.
So folks, we'd like to figure out who you are, and would like to know a little bit about yourself. So in the chat room, if you would please, under hashtag, or if you're an old guy like me, it's £, put your name. You can see that. Terry, would you advance, please?
Yes, sir.
Then the second item, again, hashtag, and the site that you represent, or the organization that you represent. Oh, we see them coming up now. Good to see y'all. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Terry. Now we're interested in the range of ages of the children you'll be serving. And then finally, how you celebrated Christmas. And we're going to give you a few minutes to do that And you should be able to see all this in your chat. Oh my, we're from all over the place. Kindergarten to 8th grade, 5 to 12, 3 to 12. Oh, 15 to 19. Okay. Wow.
So
We've
it's
got
good,
quite
huh?
a group.
Mhm.
Yeah. There seem to be more folks from East and West Tennessee than Middle Tennessee, and that's just fine.
And Chip, we've got one, Christy, it looks like she was, had COVID during Christmas. So sorry to hear that.
Oh,
And Christmas
I see.
was her first day out of quarantine.
Amy, I see you too has also had, oh my,
Mm.
we're so sorry.
But Cindy had a family ski trip. Woohoo. That's awesome.
Of course, I see Amanda's picture taken at Disney World. I'm not sure I'm speaking to her.
Wonderful. Relax. That's awesome.
Venus is 6th to 8th grade.
Mhm.
We've got quite a range. That's great.
The last thing we want you to do is to use hashtag email address and go ahead and put your email address in there. And then Chip and I'll be able to send you all the information that we have, including the survey. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, that's coming. Very, very good.
This is Venus.
Well.
Ooh, Venus, you were able to unmute. That's wonderful. Did you?
What did you do to unmute yourself? Did you just use the button or what? How'd you do that?
Well, you're muted again, Venus. She said she doesn't know.
Okay. Mary fixed it. Okay, thank you. Okay, shall we move on?
They look like Girl Scout cookies behind her, though. Making me hungry. Go ahead, Terry.
Okay, so what I want you to do is to use your telephones and go to www.kahoot.it, or if you already have a Kahoot app on your phone, go ahead and go there. The pin is 53019. Once you go to Kahoot, all you have to do is to put in your pin. I'm going to stop my screen share and go there as well. Okay. Here we go. You don't have to use your name. You can use your real name if you want, or you can give yourself a nickname. All right, let me go to screen share again. And there.
It's amazing how it came up purple.
Oh, isn't it? Do an 80s vibe. Yeah. Got 11 in. We'll wait just a couple more minutes. Hopefully some more can come in. Thank you, Allie, for putting the pin in the chat room for me. I appreciate that. Wait another couple of minutes. If there's anyone that's having trouble, let us know. Go to the chat box and put in hashtag Kahoot Trouble, and hopefully, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Cindy. Kahoot Trouble. If some of you are using your phones to connect, you might not be able to get to Kahoot, and that's totally okay. Kahoot Trouble. I have to change my password. Okay, Amy. There's 16 of us. Good.
Another Kahoot trouble.
Okay. Chip, will you work with Bridget to see if you can help her get in, and we'll get started here in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
And Andrea as well. If you go to your phone and just go to your Google or your browser on your telephone, and you can pull up Kahoot that way. So I'm going to just put in let's find it, Kahoot. You should be able to go right to it. And you do not have to download anything. It just says enter your game pin here. Okay. And the game pin again is 53019. Okay. Put my name. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. And it's okay if you're unable to access this, you can still see it. So get ready, use your phone. You'll see the different shapes come up in colors, and you'll use your phone to answer. So for you, that would be service learning is a lot of work, a way to connect learning to youth, one more thing to do, or a way to get youth into the community. This is how do you feel? Okay, good. Thank you. So yes, service learning can be a way to get the youth into the community. It can also be a way to connect youth to learning. And we'll learn more about that as we go. Next one. Way to go, Candy. This is a poll. iPod is, see if you can figure out what that is. A bunch of letters, another word for service, the process of service learning, or you have no clue. Okay. So we've got quite a few people who know the process. One is another word for service, and some of you have no clue. So good. We've got some things to share with you today. Here goes another one. Blank is the process of thinking about how service connects to learning. Which one of these words fits into the blank? All right. Again, we'll learn about that today. The correct term is reflection. We'll teach you a little bit about reflection and get more in depth as we go through our webinars. Next one. There goes Caitlin. Way to go, Caitlin. All right, here's number 4. Service learning blanks are collaborative and mutually beneficial. Which word fits into that blank? Okay, partnerships. Yes, we'll learn ways that partners in the community and your youth, your students can work together in a collaborative setting and both benefit from that. All righty, let's go to the next one. Number 5, conducting service learning across a period of several weeks or months is called what? Duration intensity. That was kind of a giveaway. We'll talk a little bit about that today as well. It may be different for different organizations as to how long or when you actually do the service. We'll talk more about that. All righty, let's go to the next one. Number 6, using critical thinking to identify community needs is, and which word fits there? Excellent. Investigation. All right. We've got some folks that know what they're doing when it comes to service learning. I do see a hand up, Chip. If you could help that. Andrea Owens, I believe, has her hand up. Okay. Now, this one you can select as many as you think fits. All ways to conduct service learning. What are the ways? Select all the ways. Okay, very good. And let me reiterate what Mary's saying in the chat. We just want to know what you know, so that we make sure that as we do this, that we connect, things that you don't know with what we're talking about. So this is one way to kind of gain a prior knowledge of your students or of your youth. And that way, you know what you need to spend more time on. That's all this is about. All right, Christy's up at the top. True or false? It is important to allow students to have a voice when planning for service learning. Okay, excellent. This is probably one of the most difficult things for teachers or for anyone who works with youth or students to do, is to allow them to have a voice. But we're going to teach you some ways that you can actually let your students develop what you do and have a say-so in how that goes. All righty, Christy's still up at the top. Here's a poll. My feelings about a virtual webinar to learn about service learning. Are you sunny? Are you excited? Do you feel kind of rainy, mixed feelings? Cloudy, unsure, stormy, not optional? Go ahead and tell us how you feel. Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you.
That's a good start.
Absolutely. Thank you for being honest. This is definitely not if Chip and I were in person, it would be different, but we're going to make the best of it, and we will make sure we do what we can to make it entertaining for you. Now, for this one, let us know what you need from us. If you need clarity, if you need, excitement, enthusiasm, tell us what you need from us. Great ideas, new knowledge, specific examples, information. Okay.
That's great.
So we'll keep this definitely in mind, and hopefully you're going to get some great ideas from us. Thank you for your participation. Way to go, Cindy. And this is Nessa, number 2, and number 1, Christy. Now, this is just for fun. Just for fun. We're not keeping tabs. Okay, I'm going to stop my screen share and go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. Here we go.
So as the PowerPoint is coming up on the screen, we've talked about something called IPARD, and some of the IPARD words appeared in the quiz that Terry just showed to you. But the bottom line is iPARD is the process by which we use or that we flow for service learning. So what we're going to do is we're going to put you into breakout rooms. As Terry said earlier, that'll be just a few of you in each room. And you will have in the chat a copy of the matchup that you can see on the screen right now. And as a group, you are to match the definition with the term. The definition's on the left, the term is on the right. When you come back into the main room where you are now, we will discuss each one, and we'll give you 5 minutes to take care of that process once you're in the breakout room. Terry, are you ready to move?
Yes. So Mary, if you will, let's have 6 breakout rooms. So there'll be about 4 people in each breakout room.
Okay, and assign automatically?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Create. And open all rooms.
There you go.
Did that work?
Yeah, it'll just take a few minutes to, there they go. They're going in right now.
Excellent. Got to go into your breakout rooms. I see one more person who isn't gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Bendel.
Mm-hmm. Chip, do you have your timer going?
I do.
Excellent.
I figure we'll start now.
I've
There's
got
one who hasn't moved yet.
Yes, M. Bendel. There you go.
I guess we could just put it in there.
I don't see any matchups in group chat or anything else.
So Mary, we don't see the matchup information to be able to
Okay.
do the task.
Thank you. Let me see if I can figure out how to leave the room and go tell them that. Hang on.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay. It's not letting me out of the room. Oh, because I joined one. I'm sorry. Let me chat with all. Chat everyone.
So while she's doing that, Adam, where are you from?
Adam is from Anderson County, and oh, he is there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Knoxville.
Oh, okay. That's 2.
Oh, okay.
And then Iris, what about you?
Hey, good morning. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, it's only letting me chat with the group because I'm in the group. I don't know how to get out of the group.
Do you have a leave room button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, Mary?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mary
Hey,
is.
There's nothing in the chat for them to match up in the breakout rooms.
Yeah, it's there. It's there's a iPARD matchup, a file.
It's not showing up once they get in the groups. Because when you get in the groups, all you get is the group chat. Because I tried to chat to y'all in the group and all I got was my group members.
Okay. See, I don't have access to the. I do not have access to.
Yeah.
Hi, y'all having trouble finding the matchups? Okay, we're trying to help. Hang on.
Now I feel a part of the group.
It's all right.
Yay!
So I keep getting pulled into groups and none of them have it in their chat. So I think we need to pull everybody back together and do it together as a big group.
Sure. Go. So you just close the chat rooms.
Close all rooms. All
Yeah.
breakouts will close in 59 seconds.
Yeah. Chip, should we, well, can you see the file in your chat window, Chip?
I can, yeah.
Huh.
It's just not in any of the breakout room chats. When you get in the breakout room, all you have is chat amongst your breakout room.
That's correct. So,
Anything you all sent isn't showing up there.
right, they have to take it, they have to open it before they're moved into their rooms.
Well, I don't think they did that, so they don't know what to do.
Okay, so bring it back and we'll do it together. Can you see the iPod matchup, Chip?
I can see the item in the doc, or
Okay.
in the chat rather.
How about that? Can you see the page now?
Yes, I do.
All right, everybody's back.
Okay, folks. Take a look at your screen. You should see the iPod matchup. I'm curious. I hope you can unmute yourself.
I'm
If we-
unmuted.
Okay, Venus is unmuted. I wish we knew what you did.
I didn't do anything.
Well, you're important. Okay. Oh, yeah. Stay right there, Terry.
Okay.
Folks, what do you think? Use critical thinking to identify and analyze community needs. Look at those 6 terms. Which definition goes with, or which term goes with that definition? Venus is the chosen one.
Investigation?
They can put it in the chat too.
Investigation. Okay. Cindy says investigation. Is there anybody who has a different answer than investigation? Well, that's what we're seeing. Okay, we'll go to the next definition. Engage in meaningful and creative service that enhances learning. What does that sound like to you? Cindy says action.
Action.
Venus says action.
Sorry.
Allie says action.
Good.
M. Bendel says action. Venus says action. It looks like that's what pretty much everybody agrees to. Cheryl says action. So let's move to the third one. Showcase the service learning experience and outcomes in the community. Boy, Cindy, you're quick. Demonstration and celebration. That seems to be what everybody agrees to. Okay. So now we'll move to assess student learning and the service learning experience. And we see evaluation. That was kind of a giveaway, wasn't it? Okay.
Sorry, I don't know why my.
Okay. The fifth one is communicate feelings, experiences, and learning before, during, and after each phase. And Cindy says reflection. Allie does. M. Bendel does. Cheryl does. All right. And
my screen's very sensitive. There we go. Sorry, Chip.
get ready to act by gaining knowledge and skills that aligns with that. Oh, well, everybody's answering preparation. Of course, that's the only one left.
Okay.
And okay, Terry, if you'd move on to the next one. You were right, investigation. This is the piece that is so important. Terry mentioned earlier in terms of student voice. This is where the kids get to determine and choose what problem they're going to identify and what project they're going to do to address the problem. It's also the hardest part for leaders like us to give up our control. But we'll see when we talk about something like meaningful service that people will support what they help to create. If
Mhm.
this is their choice, it'll be more important to them meaning the students, and they'll jump into it a whole lot easier. Now, some of you are going to say, how do we do that if we're going to identify partners? Well, what I would recommend is that you talk to 2, 3, maybe 4 partners and explain to them that you had this group of kids who are going to do a project and they need to decide what project they're going to do. So at the first time you get together, these partners would either come in person or join into a Zoom meeting and present the problem circumstances that they represent. When those presentations are done, then the kids will decide which one are we going to do. Now, realistically, you may not have enough time to do all that, depending upon how much time you have your kids and in what time frame, whether you're doing this in the spring or the summer. But if you can do it, folks, this is really, really valuable to the students who will be involved. Now, the action piece is the fun piece. That's when they actually do the service. So obviously that one makes sense. Demonstration, and that's when it's all over. Let the whole community know you're celebrating the great things that those kids did. All of us in education fall under a major problem because we don't pat our kids on the back publicly well enough or often enough. So, put something out to your local media. Take a lot of pictures and share it around with what these kids are doing. Give them the exposure that they deserve and let the outcome of their service become public. That's really, really valuable to them. The evaluation is a critical piece to the teachers if it's done in a classroom, because the mistake that teachers make is they try to assess the service, and all service is good. No matter what they do, it's a good thing. What they need to assess is the learning that the student encountered during the process. What can the student do now that he or she could not do prior to? There is your evaluation piece. Now, for you guys and for us, the evaluation is, if we replicate this project with another group of students next year or next term, what can we do better? How can we fix it? What can we improve? What didn't work that we need to throw out? And that's the type of evaluation that's going to be very, very valuable. And the way you get some of that evaluation is through the reflection that the students do. During their time, they're going to reflect on it. What worked? What didn't work? What did they learn? It makes the learning intentional because they're forced to think about it. Now, folks, a lot of people make the mistake, in my opinion, a mistake, of thinking that reflection has to be something written, and it doesn't. Reflection can be a discussion. I knew teachers who have had them write poems, write a public service announcement that, a verbal thing. I said write, but it's not actually something that they submit in writing. It can be a series of pictures. It can be anything at all that will demonstrate what the kids think about, what they learned, what worked, what didn't work. And it needs to be done before, during, and after each phase of what you did. And that's where the real learning and value to the participants comes about. And these are obviously not in the proper sequence on purpose, but the last one up there is the preparation. That's the planning in cooperation with your partners to determine what has to be done before the action can take place. What do the kids have to know how to do? What arrangements have to be made? If they have to go someplace, what transportation is available? If they're going to do it on Zoom, does everybody have a Zoom connection? All the things that need to be done. What does the partner need to do to prepare their place for what your kids are going to do? So it's just a whole planning process. And the big piece for the students is what they need to learn to be able to do prior to their interaction that becomes the actual service. IPARD is the formal process then that makes this happen for us. Terry, it's all yours.
Okay. So the process that we've just gone over are actually the steps that you take to start and to participate in and to complete the service learning. In addition to the process, there are quality standards. And the reason these have been developed is because you want the learning and the service to be high quality. And it's not just a situation where kids go out, they do their service and they come back and nothing's done. So these quality standards are extremely important to look at. So I'd like for you to go ahead and use your annotate button and go to the stamp if you're able to. You can use an X, you can use a check mark, whatever you want to use. You can use a heart. And then I want you to place your stamp on this continuum as to where you are in terms of allowing students to have a voice in their activities. We range from regularly to not often. See where you are.
Well, we see some folks coming in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Some of you might be in the middle. Some of you may be doing this on a regular basis. Some, maybe you haven't had an opportunity to do this. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to move on. If I can get back to my, this is a challenge sometimes when you try to get back over to your mouse. There we go. I see my mouse.
Do you just pull it over?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
There.
Let me see where I can see where my mouse is, but I'm way at the top now. You see all my hearts. There we go. It disappears on me. So just give me a second here. Come on. Okay, there we go. There we go. All righty. Thanks for your patience. This is sometimes technology is not as perfect as you want it to be. Now I'm going to go ahead and clear all of those marks. There we go. So if you look at what research says in terms of, giving students a strong voice, research has shown that if you give students a strong voice in every phase, then both academic and engagement outcomes are strongly influenced. Also, if students are not having a voice, they're not satisfied with what they're doing. They feel discouraged. And when students have a voice, they feel like they have ownership. So it's extremely important that you engage your students to generate ideas. And even if you already know what topic you're going to use to address, get some ideas from them as to how that might be addressed and what they feel like they can do. You want to do this throughout the process. You want to make sure that you create an environment with your students that is trusting and open. And of course, we always have that one or two students that kind of come up with some strange or maybe ideas that just in no way work. However, we still want to be accepting and maybe redirect. You also want to remember that when you give them a strong voice, that will promote acquisition of the knowledge and those skills that you're trying to enhance with the students. And you also want to involve the students in evaluating how effective that service learning experience is and was to the community partner and with the community partner. So the more opportunities that you give your students to have a strong voice, the better the outcome will be for you and for the community partners and for the students. Okay.
So now, folks, the next quality standard is meaningful service. So we're going to ask you to do the same thing for this that you did on the last one. Use your stamp to place where you agree or disagree with service that is personally relevant to me has more meaning. There we go.
And I want to say, while people are doing that, Chip, that this annotate tool, your students will really get into if you give them the opportunity to use it, if you are having to do remote learning and teaching and being together. Nice.
And it's a way to involve the students in the whole process, which is really neat.
Yes.
I'm not sure that I'm doing it properly.
Do you see your stamp coming up on the screen?
I do. I see the whole box of them, but when I try to pull it over, I never see it show up on the arrow.
So you've clicked on stamp, correct?
Oh no, I clicked on reactions. Maybe that's why.
Yes, that's it right there. So if you have the toolbar that you see kind of above the one that has the new share, then you might even be able to put a text. You might even be able to put a line. Do you have any of those buttons available to you?
I see it.
Oh, good.
I was
Excellent.
in the wrong place. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
I
And
think
we
I'm
say
having
all
that
kinds
same
of different,
difficulty.
Okay, ready? I'm going to
Okay.
click.
And Terry, if you'd clear it. So I think most people agreed that it's meaningful if they actively participate in the process. That's what we were talking about when we were looking at the investigation step under the IPARD. But at the same time, the kids need to understand that the project they're going to do meets real needs. It's not just something that we've pulled out of the air. There has to be can we go back to the other slide?
Yes.
There has to be an involvement between you and the students so that they can express themselves and what they're thinking. That will help you immensely because they'll give you feedback. Obviously, one of the things we'll talk about going on is your activities and your projects have to be age appropriate. It's one of the reasons why we asked about the age of the students you serve. But no matter what age they are, the important thing is that it means something to them. The fact that they were involved in helping select the project is the great big giant first step to making that happen. At the same time, they also need to be involved into the evaluation of the project, which is the reflection piece. What worked really well? What made me feel good to some of those kids? And what can we do better? Where did we miss the boat? Or what did we completely forget? So that they can do this. And it's amazing how much the kids will come through and have insight that sometimes we don't get to see. So, Miss Terry, it's all yours.
Okay, let's go to diversity. Okay, so go ahead and put your stamp, your line, your heart, a letter, whatever you want to, on whether you agree, strongly or you disagree strongly? Recognizing cultural differences and all forms of diversity is important to me. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, those of you who are able to. So it is extremely important that students have an opportunity to work with different types of partners. So we want our youth to learn how to learn how to accept people and all different points of view, and then to think through, okay, that person thinks differently than I do. They have different ideas than I do. They do things differently than I do. I can appreciate that. I can still have a different opinion. I can still do it a different way, but I can understand and accept multiple perspectives. These interpersonal skills are developed when students learn how to, be involved in conflict resolution and coming together as a group to make decisions. So as they're going through the activity, the action part of IPARD, they're developing some extremely important skills that helps them when they are away and out into the community, out in their job or back at home, to learn how to resolve conflicts. It also helps them to understand and value diverse backgrounds, and not only through offering service, but receiving service. So as they go out and work with their partners, the partners that are created through service learning, they're going to learn how to value differences and not see it as something that is bad or something that they're trying to change, but something that they're trying to learn how to, promote understanding and to come together for a common good. It also helps in the recognition and overcoming of stereotypes. So the more diverse of a partnership you can develop, again, you're strengthening these tools that they'll be better citizens and better people. As you can see on the left, here are some research bullets that back this up. Helping our students go beyond personal perspectives to the perspectives of others. And in today's society, with all that we've gone through over the past several months, that is an important quality to learn. And again, you can see that greater diversity in service learning is related to academic engagement, valuing of school, of subject matters, civic dispositions, and civic engagement. So recognizing that service learning helps students understand diversity and develop respect among all.
And I just want to throw one other piece out there on the diversity, because what's important to me is for everybody to recognize that if I have an opinion that is different than somebody else's, that somebody else is not wrong. It's just different. And we need to understand that a different opinion can be a very valuable thing. Now comes the link to the curriculum. In your cases, the curriculum needs to be what the students need to learn and know to perform the service that they're going to do. And I'm going to stop until you all have a chance. So far, most of you seem to agree with that one.
Okay.
That looks good.
Okay.
Could we move on?
Yes, sir.
So, for a classroom teacher, it really needs to be the service and the learning that they take place in the service does need to be aligned with the academic content. In your case, it needs to be something that you're ready to help the students learn, to provide the service that they're going to do. And lots of times the kids will help each other so they can work along with it. One of the greatest projects that I saw that some of my students did with their students was they had young children who were still learning how to read to go and read stories to senior citizens in an assisted living facility. And as I was walking around watching the little ones, these were like 3rd and 4th grade kids, reading to the seniors, one little girl looked at the one old lady and said, "You look like my grandma." And where that came from was the lady had snow white hair, and this little girl recognized the snow white hair as her grandma. And that just started the conversation going. And it was just so lovely. And of course, some of the older folks helped the kids if they were having trouble with a word here and there as they were reading. So it was a really, really lovely matchup there. It's also an example of the diversity that we were talking about a couple minutes ago. Okay, Miss Terry.
Okay. I do want to draw your attention to the research on the left. And this is amazing that students had greatest increases in problem-solving skills when challenges they experienced parallel those that you discussed in the time they had, in your program. So there's some strong benefits when you link whatever it is you're doing in your program and those goals with the service. Well, okay, here we go. Partnerships. Working with community partners strengthens the students' learning as they serve local needs. Go ahead and put where you feel you are, from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Good. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I think it's important that we are very intentional as we determine who those community partners will be, because they will have a hand in the students' learning and their service. So let's move here, and I'm going to clear. So in your partnerships, these are to be collaborative, mutually beneficial in addressing community needs. So there should be mutual benefits for your youth and mutual benefits for the community, so that you're working together. As you begin to collect evidence as to the quality of the service, you want to do that from multiple sources. And then you're going to use this evidence as you think about, well, if this happened in this situation, how can we make it better next time? So the community that you work with, you work with your youth and with you to continually improve. And you want to continue to talk about, so how can we make this situation collaborative? What are things that we can do to develop long-term relationships with these people? In particular, when the students are very connected to what they're doing in this meaningful service. If you look over on the left, when partnerships were short-term and isolated, students began to be disinterested and did not have as much enthusiasm for what the service was or what the service would become. All right, Mr. Chip, let's see if I can go next. Okay.
Progress monitoring. You do well evaluating the progress as they work towards the goals. How do you feel about that one?
Wow.
We've got quite a range on this one,
Absolutely.
and that's fine.
Absolutely.
Okay, Terry, can we move on?
Yes, sir. Whoops.
So in the progress monitoring, you're going to be looking at your timelines. Are things getting done according to the schedule that you set up in your preparation period? If they are, wonderful. If they're not, what do you have to look at to fix? Can we make adjustments, or do we just need to get caught up? And at the same time, are the kids learning what they need to learn to adequately and accurately perform the service that they're doing or are about to do? It's also a lot about communication. It's communicating with the kids. You can use your reflection activities to see, are they on board with you? Are they understanding what they have to do? And have they truly learned that they can do what they have to do? It's one thing to understand it, but it's still yet another to be able to do it. So that all becomes part of your progress monitoring and making sure that everything is going according to plan. Okay, Terry.
Okay. I have to tell you what happened to me, and you'll maybe understand a little bit better why I'm having a little trouble with the screen. I dropped my computer. I have a large screen, and I dropped it on my way back from North Carolina. I had to go in recently. So some of the things that are happening are due to my computer malfunctioning. So I do apologize. And I promise by the next time I will fix this and have a cleaner transition. So looking at duration and intensity, do you agree strongly or disagree strongly with this statement? I will lead the students to develop a project that can be accomplished in the time we have and is appropriate to their ages. And definitely we want to see you on the left side here. And we're going to begin to give you tools. We're going to give you examples. We're going to give you resources that will help you do this as we consider the project that you might want to undertake with your students. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Well, here we go. Oh, let me see if I can erase this. Oops, here we go. Let me go back. Okay, is this correct? Duration and intensity, yes. So here, you want to have sufficient duration and intensity so that you can meet and address the community needs and your outcomes. So here we want you to think about the IPARD process. As you're going through that process, you're going to need to think about how long or how much time do we have in terms of, going in and actually in the action portion, and then over how much time, how many weeks are we going to spend in this project? Do we have enough time in our weeks or our months to address what we've determined to be the needs and to achieve the learning outcomes? If you find that the project that you've created or that your students have decided they want to do is going to take longer than the amount of time you have, you might want to consider either another project, or you might want to continue with the next, I say semester because I work in semesters, but when the next group of kids come to your organization. So we're going to be talking about that as you begin to develop what it is you're going to do with your students. And last but not least, and we'll clear the screen, Chip, there we go.
So reflection, and my bias is going to come out here, but I think reflection is the most important of all these steps, because that's where the students start recognizing what they're doing, the value of what they're doing, the learning that took place, that they realize, oh, I had to learn XYZ to be able to do this, and start to have that good feeling for the wonderful things they've accomplished. And they can reflect on it themselves. They can reinforce each other as they have their reflections. And it just goes really, really well. And we have a very, very diverse feeling about this one. Okay. Can we move on there? There we go. And like we said before, it does not have to necessarily be a written statement. Now, an English teacher is going to want the kids to write something if it's an English class, but there can be all kinds of things. I saw a drama group at a high school who actually created a short one-act play to express what they had done. And as part of the script, they designed their reflective activity, their reflection to it. Cindy wrote that she said that there was a diversity because the scale was switched on that question. That's true, it was. I think Terry was trying to keep us all a little bit paying attention to what they were doing. So it really becomes a valuable experience as we do it. And I want to talk for a second about the research piece on the side. There's a name that pops up there a lot, and that's the name Billig, B-I-L-L-I-G. Dr. Billig is probably one of the most prolific researchers and writers in service learning. She is extremely well respected across the country. And if you are interested in getting into more of the research part of service learning, Shelley Billig is one that you're going to want to look at. She's a good writer, and she's an excellent researcher that brings about all kinds of great ideas. As we go back, though, to the reflection, I like the bullet there. It says encourages students to examine their preconceptions and assumptions, and perhaps then move on to what of those preconceptions and assumptions may have changed in the process of doing this activity, which also may have dealt with diverse opinions and diverse people. Like we used the example of the young and the old. It can be any type of diversity, but I really like, let's see. Do you happen to know if there's any specific research connecting service learning to resiliency? Off the top of my head, I do not, but I think we can probably do some looking and find that, see what's out there. Terry, we can look at that between now and the next workshop.
Absolutely. And there's more research coming out. It's kind of been a little bit of a struggle this past year because of the big C word, but there is more research on the value of service learning. So we'll definitely look at that. Go ahead, Chip. Were you finished?
There was something. Oh, there was one thing, and you can move on to the next slide for this next one, Terry, that I wanted to mention, and this is largely for Mary's benefit. One of the sponsors of this series of webinars is the NYLC, the National Youth Leadership Council. These quality standards that we looked at were developed by the National Youth Leadership Council, and they have become the standard for service learning across the country. The NYLC did an awful lot of research on this, and it's just been universally adopted. They're kind of the gurus, and people look to them. So these standards are really what defines service learning as opposed to any other type of service.
Mhm. And with this kind of wrapping it up slide here, I think it's important that you use the IPARD process, because those are the clear steps that will actively engage your students. The SQPs, as we call them, the standards for quality practice, these are the characteristics of the experience, and to help ensure that quality and measurable outcomes that you're going to have when you program. Now, Chip and I decided for this first webinar that we wanted to give you an overview of the IPARD process and of the quality standards. In the next 3 webinars, we're going to be giving more specific details, examples. We're going to do more brainstorming, so that as you begin to consider what you're going to be doing with your program and your students, you can begin to put in some key components and resources ready to begin. So these are the standards, and we really have found, and Chip and I both have been years upon years advocates for service learning. And I've worked in K-12, and I've also worked with college students, which I do now. And I feel it's extremely important to do service learning and to incorporate service learning into your programs when you're able to. And there's some very specific topics and issues that need to be addressed right now. And I'm sure that you're aware of what some of those are. What I'd like to do, if you'll go back to the chat, yes, you sure can, Candy. I want you to go back to the chat. And if you have any comments or any questions about any of these standards or any of the IPARD process, go ahead and put those in there for us.
And while you're doing that, Mary put a comment in there about social and emotional learning. Mm-hmm. Folks, I believe that service learning is the practical example of social and emotional learning. Mm-hmm. It's how we implement social emotional learning. There are certainly other ways, but in my very biased opinion, service learning is the best way.
And I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
When students have the opportunity to engage in service learning, they have every opportunity to develop those competencies. And Chip and I will share what those competencies are and some of the characteristics of those competencies that your students will be developing and hopefully reflecting upon. So thank you, Mary. That was good. You brought that up.
Yes, and I was asked about the topics again that we are, again, if somebody goes off this topic list, you're not going to get your hands slapped. We want the kids to drive this. That said, we can provide you a lot of content and teasers to get them excited about this. And we know kids can be very powerful around opioids, substance abuse, and mental health, particularly peer-to-peer messaging kinds of projects. We had a pilot going in Knoxville. It got ripped out when schools got closed, an after-school program that was on site, and the program at the time didn't know how to continue virtually immediately with the same kids. So we lost that pilot, but that's one area. Another area is STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And sometimes you'll hear STEAM, which is adding arts, anything that is workforce development, career readiness, particularly with your middle school and high school kids. So those kinds of projects are really good with them. And you might think about your partners. I know I see people here from the Oak Ridge area. Maybe Oak Ridge National Lab wants to help you with something. Maybe Eastman Chemical Company wants to help you with something. Another area is anything disaster/pandemic response related. We have seen other states where the kids actually worked with the mayor's office and helped flesh out the disaster plan for the city. Because as you know, people all over Tennessee got caught with their pants down when this pandemic hit. And here in Middle Tennessee, we got hit with the tornadoes, which wiped out our childcare DHS building right before COVID. So there's a lot of work where kids can and think about, how has all this influenced me and how could I help? I was on a call with a youth advisory council for a drug abuse coalition. And the kids started jumping in and helping the administrator. We could have used one here today on how you do the breakout rooms, and here you're having trouble. And then the kids lit up. They were like, we could help other nonprofits. We could help families that are having trouble with digital. We could arrange for, the high school kids that can drive. We could drive a mobile van into the middle of a rural area, and create a hotspot. So that's another area. And the last area, of course, is equity across the board. And this is touchy in some communities, we know, but this is an area where kids get very passionate and our communities can really use some help when and where they're ready at. I'd encourage you, if you go that route, look at where your community is. Every step forward is a good step forward. And where you are in Memphis is not going to be the same as where you are in Deckard, Tennessee. And we get that. And that's one of the reasons why United Way and the After School Network wants to be available to help you with those connections. We can connect you with over 1,000 nonprofits in the state, with corporate partners, with your mayors, any help you need like that, once you get the kids fired up around a project.
And Mary, it can be as simple as your youth, your students working with folks in the community to help them during this time of social, they call it social distancing. I call it physical distancing, to reach out electronically and be a part of the community. That's huge.
Mentoring, peer-to-peer. Kids need it. Kids need it.
Yes.
And they're better at digital than we are. Let's be honest. They are.
They've forgotten more than I'll ever know. That's for darn sure.
They are way better at it. I don't set up my phone without my teenager.
And folks, I wanted to make a comment on one of the topics Mary mentioned, which is workforce development and career preparation. I spent my entire career in technical vocational education, and that's what we focus on, and that's our primary effort. So if you're looking for any type of activities that would go on career readiness, I can help you with that.
Nice. Okay, we have about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide, and I'm also going to save this chat so it will be available if you want to, for any of the information that we've gained through this. And also, here's our contact information. There's Chip's email. There's my email. If anything comes up that you'd like some more information about, or you'd like for us to focus on, please send us an email. Now, before our next meeting, which is February the 16th, and you might be asking, well, why are we meeting February the 16th and not next week? Mary, have you talked about the conference that's coming up?
Not at all. So Volunteer Tennessee has its annual conference, which is virtual. I did send that promotion of that out in the After School Network newsletter, as well as blasted it to my United Ways. So hopefully you've heard about it, but you can go to the Volunteer Tennessee website and find out. It's free, but next week, that's where we will be. So we're giving you a week off. We scheduled the fourth one for March 1st, because this is when the second was scheduled, and so on and so forth. So thank you all for being flexible with us. And I will get this loaded up as soon as I can after. I need a teenager to help me with the tech, but I will get it loaded up by the end of the week, I promise.
Okay, in addition, we're going to send a survey to you this week, and it's basically some questions that we have. It's not a test. You're not going to get graded on it. It's just for Chip and I to help us know where you are. And then after we go through the 4 webinars, what you've actually learned and if what we have done is effective. So we're modeling that piece of progress monitoring. So if you would be so kind as to complete the survey before we meet next, that would be awesome. In order to get your certificate, you've got to participate not only in the webinars, but also in anything outside that directly relates back to what we're doing during this time.
So are they sending that survey back to me or to you all?
It's a Question Pro survey. So it will come from me at,
Okay.
and I believe the email address is at tennessee.edu. And basically the information is housed in Question Pro, which I can access and it's free. It's a
Okay.
free service.
I
So-
just need to know who gets a certificate. So,
We
Correct.
can handle that.
Absolutely. Chip, anything?
Before we go, does anybody have any questions or comments? They can, if they need to, please.
Thank you, Rachel,
Ooh.
for your comments.
Yeah, the differences between rural and urban service learning.
Mhm,
That's cool.
mhm. And and Chip and I both have worked in both settings. I'm currently in Martin in a rural area. I used to be at Tennessee State University, which was more in an urban area. So we have a lot of experiences to share. And since you said in our little time in the Kahoot that that's something you want to hear about examples, we have quite a few that we'd love to share. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being here today. I thank you for your patience with the PowerPoint and with technology. We will work hard at making sure that next time that things work together smoothly. And we look forward to our next time together, which will be February the 16th at 9:30.
Central
thanks
time.
all.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. We hope to hear your voices next time.
Yes.